Hello, it's Philip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers speaking, and I'm doing this review for YouTube. It's about Lord Denning. It's called The Jurisprudence of Lord Denning. It's a book in 3 volumes by Charles Stevens from Cambridge Scholars Publishing. I've given it the title Denning Defined in His Historic Judicial Place. My wife and I have read the books, and we knew Lord Denning. The book's in 3 parts. Volume 1 is called Fiat Judicia, Lord Denning and the Common Law, and that deals with, basically it means make possible. Volume 2 is the Last of England, Lord Denning's Englishry in the Law, which is more to do with history. The 3rd one is very interesting for legal scholars because it's Lord Denning as Freedom Under the Law, Lord Denning as Master of the Rolls, 1962 to 1982. The books are about 200 pages each. Footnotes are at the end of each chapter if you're looking for detailed information. And let me just give you an idea of what we think about this particular publication. We say, as one of the most influential judges of the 20th century, this 3-volume work is a fine tribute to the memory of Denning. He's been described as possibly the most interesting judge of the 20th century. And this 3-volume work by Charles Stevens restates his judicial place as only an historian and lawyer can adequately do. I always felt reassured by Lord Denning's presence in our national life, writes Stevens. At the back of my mind I felt that we were all safe as long as he was Master of the Rolls, and he adds that the origins of this project lie with those memories, and I certainly have memories of him both in court and as a person that one would meet at Lincoln's Inn, of which I am also a member. Stevens is primarily an historian and writes of Denning from an historian's point of view rather than necessarily that of a lawyer. That's no bad thing when you consider the avowedly circular arguments that the decisions of judges have shaped history, and conversely tides and trends in history which shape or at least wield considerable influence in shaping the decisions of judges, depending on the orthodoxy of the age. And Denning, as you know, very much stood out against the other judges, mainly in the House of Lords. So viewing Denning from an historian's eye view offers academic and general readers alike a useful perspective on the influence judicial decisions are likely to have on the body politic, when in turn influences everyday life occur, such as the quotition world, as Stevens puts it. And it's an important thing to bear in mind, of course. Examples abound of how his background, education and family life informed and influenced Denning's attitudes and judgments, some of which remain controversial and topical to this day. And obviously single mums, the family, domestic violence, identity and nationality, and corruption and so forth. It's an area very important information, and you'll see in the more detailed written reviews quite a lot of opinion being put forward. The academic journals have got sort of 4,000 or 5,000 word articles about this book, but ours are relatively short. What Stevens has done with this book is to try to provide a continuing fascination and charm which runs throughout the 3-volume work by explaining, trying to get at who Denning actually is. He does write like a historian, as I've explained, which explains why we got a little bit confused when perusing, for example, the 2nd volume, which is on the English identity, because it's more historic. But again, I think it fits in personally to the whole theme of a life which was 100 years. He was born in obviously born in the Victorian era and lived all the way through. He didn't actually make it into the 21st century, which I think was his aim, but there we go, that's the way it is. We assume that a lot of the points that come out of this book come from the huge amount of historic research that Stevens has done. The cases cited at the end of each volume rather than the beginning may possibly be a little bit confusing to lawyers, likewise with the footnotes, but that's just the way in which the book comes out, and as I say, I think it's a very useful addition to the legal history library. The volumes illustrate justice and fairness in the matter-of-fact way in which Denning delivered many of his judgments, and with that splendid West Country burr, if you like, and regularly with a twinkle in his eye, which anyone who met him would remember. And of course also the beautiful imagery with some of the judgments, setting the scene at the beginning, just gets your interest, whereas some of them are so boring as law reports that you just want to go to sleep. Not with Denning, because he just brings it alive. So the work, in our view, tilts in the direction of social history and commentary, and does so very interestingly, rather than specifically to jurisprudence or legal history. But we would say that, wouldn't we, of course, as lawyers, rather than as historians, but probably because we're infuriatingly disputatious ourselves. Yet, what is indisputable about this work is Stephen's fondness for and overwhelming respect for Lord Denning, and his legal and intellectual legacy. I think I can conclude by saying that the world is a safer place with Lord Denning, having been part of it. We can only wholeheartedly agree. The work defines Tom Denning in his historic judicial place as we return to a form of new Supreme Court judicial orthodoxy, if you like, for the 21st century. At least that's what we hope with the hard cases. At least for the time being, of course, I say that, because it's until we encounter Denning's successor, and it will be a long wait. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.